Hello, Stitchers. Welcome to Stitch Please, the official podcast of Black Women Stitch, the sewing group where Black Lives Matter. I'm your host, Lisa Woolfork. I'm a fourth-generation sewing enthusiast with more than 20 years of sewing experience. I am looking forward to today's conversation, so sit back, relax, and get ready to get your stitch together. Hey, friends. Hey, it's Lisa from Black Women Stitch and the Stitch Please podcast. And as I say every week, this is a very special episode because this episode is going to introduce you to the creative geniuses behind Baltimore FrockTails. Baltimore FrockTails is coming up in early August, and we have the two organizers here to talk about it with us today. That's Ashley/Bertha Chapman and Jasmine Howard. Welcome, Bertha. Welcome, Jasmine. Thank you both for being here. Welcome to the Stitch Please podcast.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. We're excited.
Now, I would love to hear your sewing story. If each of you all would just take a few minutes to tell us, how did you get started sewing? Did Baltimore have anything to do with your sewing story? How did your sewing story come to be?
Ooh, so do you want to start, Bertha, or do you want me to start?
I'll start. So I actually have a lot of sewists in my family. My grandmother on my dad's side and a lot of my aunts sew. So it's something that's always kind of been in the back of my mind. But during the pandemic, or I'll say during the peak of the pandemic, I actually started making masks with a sewing machine that I inherited from my grandmother when she passed. So I did that, and then I decided, you know what? Let me try to make a skirt. I don't know, just off the cuff, just decided, oh, I'm just going to try to make something else. And then I really liked it. So I actually stopped making masks and just started making clothes and just kept doing that. And I've been doing that for the past 4 years.
Oh, that's really amazing. So you started almost like everybody else did, like out of a need, out of a way to do community service, a way to,
Hmm.
making masks for friends and family or all of these things. But then it turned into, there's more than masks to be made with the sewing machine.
Exactly. Exactly. And my aunt, one of my aunts, she actually makes dolls. So she would make doll clothes, and I would always see her doll room, and I would see her room with all her sewing machines and embroidery machines. And I always thought it was so cool. But now I have started doing it myself, like making clothes and things like that. And it's kind of been a fun way to connect with my family.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Jasmine, how about you? What is your sewing story?
So my sewing story, now if we want to go way back, I had, when I was 10, I did a PowerPoint for my mom, and I was like, this is why I need a sewing machine. But the problem was I was moving a lot as a military child. And so I was living with someone at the time. They couldn't teach me how to use it. So that kind of faded away. And then in 2017, I got a lot of free time when I broke up with a man I had been seeing. And so I was like, let me, you know, try this sewing thing for real. Because at the time I was thrifting a lot. And so I'll go to the men's section and I would, get the men's clothes and then just put in some darts and, fix it up and make it fit a little bit better. And then I was making clothes for my sister who's smaller than I am. And then after a while of that, I was like, I should make stuff for myself. Now, at the time, this was 2017. So as far as the plus size sewing community, inclusivity, just size inclusive stuff like that, it wasn't as big as it is now. For me, I was as a new sewist, right? So as a new sewist, so I didn't have any sewing background. No one in my family does any sewing, no crafting, none of that. So it was just me and YouTube University for a hot minute. And so a lot of the patterns that were available, or that I would say I saw that were available, they would go to what I would consider our straight size, right? It might go up to, I would say, the top end of inclusion was a 55-inch hip, and I was barely making the cut. You know what I'm saying? And I would even say that a lot of designers weren't even hitting that mark. So
Yes.
my journey, I was like, I'll work with my sister first just to learn and have fun and do that. And then I was like, no, I can find some things. I can figure this thing out. And so I started
Yes.
sewing then. And now I do it all. Clothes, quilts, bags. If I see it has stitches, I'm gonna probably try to do it. That's generally my approach. And yeah, so it's been my love for the past 8 years or so. And it's weird saying that because I used to listen to podcasts and people be like, I've been sewing for this long. And I was like, that's a really long time. And now I'm like, ooh, has it been that long? Has it really been that long? But it's been so fun the whole time. So and I think that's the part where I have found a lot of confidence in just I see something, I go, yeah, me too. I'm gonna have that too. And I can have it today, which I think is the crazy part. Like I can have it today. I can do it right now.
That I love what you're saying because it goes so much into my own ideas about Black women's stitch liberation, and especially for plus size sewists to have bodily autonomy, to be able to say yes to themselves when the fashion industry not only says no, but doesn't even acknowledge the existence of someone with a 55-inch hip plus. Like that's it really, the idea of being able to create things for yourself is incredibly powerful. But to create things for yourself that you feel systematically denied
Yes.
and you can get it today, that is amazing. You can get it today, not because you're ordering it through fast fashion, but because you took the time to learn how to make what you like for your body. And you don't need anyone's permission to do it. That feels like freedom.
And it is. That's exactly how I feel about it. Now it's everything's just numbers. I don't even know what stores are anymore. I look at a size, I'm like, where the size chart? Because that's what I need to know who the oh my gosh, what are they called? The fit model. I need to know who the fit model is. I need to know,
Yes.
do they have big boobs like me? Do they have
Yes.
butt
Yes.
like me? What do they have?
Yes.
So I can feel
Yes.
better about going into it.
And this is one of the things that's great about indie patterns is the way that they will make a garment on lots of different body types. And you get to say like, oh, when I see that on Kamali, that feels like that's something that's going to work for me because I think we are similar in this way. Or this person, I think her name is Island Socialist or Island Sewist. And I feel like she is my body double. And I'm like, oh, that looks so cute on her. I think I'm a little smaller up top, but I think I can make that work and look so good. Like having these options are really a way to invite the maker into the orbit of the creator, right? The orbit of the pattern company, but more important, to deepen their own relationship with themselves and your own creative process. So I just think it's wonderful. And I'm so glad to hear that you've had such a great experience in the time that you've been sewing. And I just got to say, as someone who's been sewing longer than both of you all added up and combined in duplicate, okay? If you add up how long Bertha's been sewing and Jasmine's been sewing, and then you multiply that times 2, I have still been sewing longer. I can say, I think what you all are doing is so empowering. And it equips and inspires other people. And to see how far you have come in such a relatively short time, but you have such a deep practice, that you have such vision and such skill, that is something to be applauded every single day. And I hope you never forget I hope you never forget how good you are. Never forget that because you're only getting better. You're only going to get better. All right. Now we can turn to talking about Baltimore FrockTails and how did y'all say yes to Baltimore FrockTails? How did Baltimore FrockTails come to be? And how did you say yes to doing Baltimore FrockTails together?
Ooh. So I would even say Baltimore FrockTails would not be happening if it weren't for the Baltimore fabric swap.
Yes.
So, well, I'm gonna be for real. So there's pictures of Bertha and I at DC FrockTails like 2 years ago.
Yes.
We didn't know each other. We just in the background of each other's pictures. Had
No
no
way.
idea
Because I know I saw both of y'all. I saw both of y'all at that
You did.
FrockTails. Oh my gosh.
No idea. We met we were at the first fabric swap that they hosted here. And we were just talking, we just we're talking after the event outside for like a long time.
Yeah.
But it was like such a good conversation. And then I brought up FrockTails or something. And then you were like, wait, you were at that? And then you were talking about your outfit. And I was like, wait, I remember that. And then we're just like, hold up. We were both there.
Oh, I love this so much.
Yes. And so we met at the first fabric swap. And then, we were vibing like Bertha had said, and then we were like, ooh, let's exchange numbers. And for a hot minute, we've just been bumping into each other at these swaps. You know how it is in the sewing community. Ooh, it's like we hang out on social. We see you on social. I see you.
Yes.
You see me.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
We're friends. We're friends.
Yeah. And this last swap, we were like part of the cleanup crew. We like to talk. We like to talk. We like to hang out, that kind of thing. And also, I do need to mention now, so we do have another organizer. Her name is Julia. She is part of the team. She is not with us in this moment right now.
Shout out to Julia.
Yes.
We will certainly make sure she gets included in the show notes as well. Shout out to Julia.
Yes. But we were cleaning up, chatting it up. Because, listen, I don't even think I got fabric from that fabric swap. I was just talking. Just hanging out.
Right.
And then I think was it just, I think we were all, I feel like it was just like a moment. We were like, ooh, FrockTails. And then we were like, oh, you want to do FrockTails too? You were thinking about FrockTails? And then we were like,
yeah, I think Julia actually mentioned it first. She was like, I'm thinking about doing a Baltimore FrockTails. And then we were like, wait a minute.
We've been thinking about that.
Idea. Yeah. Like, we should just link up. We should just do it.
Oh, so this came, the idea came, it was kind of like germinated at another community sewing event.
In March.
And we are speaking now in very close to June, and your FrockTails is in August. That is about 4 months from idea to delivery, idea to execution. It sounds like, I don't know, I am excited to know what makes a Baltimore FrockTails a Baltimore FrockTails.
So I am going to say that this FrockTails is also centered towards a whole weekend dedicated to the arts and to crafts and all those sorts of things. Baltimore has a weekend-long festival called Artscape that happens every year. It's one of the largest free festivals dedicated to the arts, both performing and like fine arts, like dealing with textiles, photography, all those sorts of things. They even have a fashion show with local designers at this event. So I brought up the idea. I said, if we're going to have a FrockTails, we should do it during Artscape because, it's a big draw to bring people into the city, and then there'll be plenty to do throughout the whole weekend. And then the FrockTails can be like this main event. So I think that's something that will make this unique, is that you'll really get to see the whole community just out and about and then coming together, just like-minded individuals, fashionistas, sewists, all together for the main event of FrockTails. Yeah.
Hey friends, hey, I know you're enjoying the audio version of Stitch Please, and thanks so much for listening. But you're missing out on all the great stuff going on behind the scenes. That's why I'm inviting you to join our Black Women Stitch Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you can see all the video versions of the podcast. Plus, you get some amazing swatch cards. You know how much I love these swatch cards. Look, see how cool these are? Oh wait, you can't see them because you are not yet on the Patreon. So when you join the Patreon, you'll be able to see this, me showing you these amazing cards. We also have some great perks at the other tiers, like discounts, swag, office hours, and more. Don't be the last sewist in the group now. Head over to patreon.com/blackwomenstitch or click the link in the show notes and become a Patreon supporter today. We truly cannot do this without you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I would even say too, I think that, the joke is that like we have Maryland, we have the DMV, but Baltimore is like its own little country. It's its own little space.
It's like own little island.
Yeah, and so so I am not a Baltimore native. So I moved here from Atlanta like 4-ish years ago. That's so crazy to think about too. But I moved about 4 years ago, maybe 3, maybe closer to 3. But when I got to Baltimore, so I started working there, like in Baltimore, and that's how I kind of got looped into the community. But one thing I realized that really intrigued me was all of the neighborhoods, all these neighborhoods, and it's like 200 something neighborhoods. And in Baltimore,
Wow.
everyone's speaking in neighborhoods. Oh, it's over in Pigtown. Oh, it's over in Fed Hill. Oh, that's over in Canton. Oh, and I'm like, hold on. All these little spaces in this one space, like what's going on here? But I think with that, you get so many different styles. You get so many different types of people.
Yes.
The aesthetic differences from one side of town to the other side of town goes insane. And so I think, with adding to Baltimore's uniqueness on its own, that's something that people really don't know about Baltimore, is that there is so much happening literally 10 minutes down the street from you. I mean, you may not even be aware of what's going on. And so I think with what we have going on in our plans for Baltimore FrockTails, and especially our theme, I think it's really, for us, it just calls for everyone from all different areas, all the neighborhoods in Baltimore to come hang out and, show who you are, show what makes you Baltimore, show what Baltimore brings out of you, and to mix and mingle and to, be in community and, find friends. I mean, that's what FrockTails is about. We just look good and hang out.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Baltimore is such an eccentric city. It's so eccentric and fun, and there's so much more to it than meets the eye. And I'm from here, so I grew up in Baltimore. I grew up in the county. I lived in the city, and a lot of people just hear about the negative. But there is so much to offer, so much that the city has to offer. And it's really just a great place, especially when it comes to the creativity that comes out of the city. It is insane, the creativity that comes out of the city. And this is just a good way to just bring everybody together and just, like Jasmine was saying, just like see each area's own identity and just see, how you bring your own identity to the table.
Yeah. Well, can you tell us more, Bertha, about the theme of Baltimore FrockTails? What is the theme and what can we expect from the event?
Okay. So the theme, very proud of this, is BeMore in BeMore. So it's maximalism is the theme, basically. So we want you to bring it, bring the interest, bring the texture, bring the color, patterns, like just go all out. And then it's really a good theme to, I don't know, it just lets you expand your horizons a little bit more. Like you're not tied down to being more formal or more casual or more streetwear. It's really up to your interpretation. Just go big with it.
Yes. And so maximum say it again, maximalism,
Maximalism.
maximalism. Okay, great.
Yeah, and the
Maximalism.
tagline, yep, the tagline is "Be more and be more."
Be
Yep.
more in Be More. I love that. I love how it seems to be speaking to abundance, to stepping outside of your comfort zone, to saying
Mhm.
yes, yes to yourself, yes, and. Yes, and.
Yes.
Yes, and. Oh, that's so exciting. Now tell us, how can we get tickets?
So, you can get tickets. So if you follow us on Instagram, we do have a link. It will take you to Eventbrite. And
Mhm.
that is how you can get tickets right now through there. If you go to our website, there's also a button that will also link you there. And that right now is how you can get your tickets for FrockTails. We're just excited. We have right now um, we do have two tiers. We have our general admission going for $100 right now, $100. Our VIP option where you'll get a nice swag bag with some extras and some goodies there. And that right now is how you can find us and get our tickets. Also, if something's not working or there's any issues you may be having, just DM us.
Mhm.
We're
Okay.
friends.
Yes.
We're friends.
That's
Yeah,
Come at us.
wonderful.
exactly.
Now tell us, how can we get to Baltimore? I think that Baltimore as a location, I know I've been to Baltimore on the train from where I live in Virginia, and it was great, and it was only like $32. And is the hotels or the venue, do you have any tips for those who might be traveling to the Frogtails?
So I would say the train actually is a great way to travel to Frogtails, especially if you're just going for like a day trip,
Mhm.
because the venue is, I would say, maybe like a 10 to 15 minute walk from the train station.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the train station is at the center of the festival, so it'll be in a safe place. You'll be surrounded by people, lots of artsy, fun people. Walk your way over to the event. If you want to go back that night, you can always catch an Amtrak train back. If you live in DC, you can catch the MARC train back.
Wow.
And also, there are a number of hotels around the city at
Mhm.
different pricing levels.
Yes.
The neighborhood I'd say that's closest to our venue is called Mount Vernon.
Okay.
Those hotels are cute boutique hotels, maybe a little bit more on the pricier side. If you want to be more economical, you may want to stay closer to the harbor.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or even by the I was about to say the plane station. Oh my goodness, the airport.
But but why isn't it called a plane station though? That's a good reason. That's a good name. Listen, Bertha, as soon as you said plane station, I was like, oh yeah, I know. The train
Right.
station, and then there's the plane station where they park the plane.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, if you want to stay by the airport, um the Uber ride to get into the city isn't that bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like
And but
20-30 minutes out of the city.
Right. And one of our themes was, I think it was probably our first meeting. It was one of the most important parts to us is making it very Baltimore. And
Hmm.
we consider we talk about the history of Baltimore, how people feel about Baltimore, how we feel about Baltimore. And one of the things that we really wanted to ensure was that everyone had access to the city. So whether you coming by
Exactly.
car, bus, train, plane,
Yes.
you can
Yes.
you can come see us. Come hang out.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
excellent. Now, if we
And they
want
do
to,
have valet at the venue. They do have
oh,
valet at the venue, yeah.
excellent. Okay, so if you did decide to drive, okay, that's great. Now, if folks want to support the event, if there's businesses or brands that are listening to the show, or folks who know of people who would make for good sponsors, are you all still accepting that type of support?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So you can reach us via email or via DM on our Instagram. BeMore FrockTails is our Instagram. And then I think, is it Baltimore FrockTails or is it BeMore? I can't remember
It
if we
is
shortened it
be
for the email.
more. It is BeMore FrockTails at gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
BeMore FrockTails and BE more.
Oh, B
Letter
no
B.
E. Letter B and then more. No E.
BMORE FrockTails.
Yes.
Okay. At Gmail.
Yes, that's where you can find us. And all three of us are circulating at various times during the day and or night. So, so we are all
You will get a response from one of us relatively quickly.
Well, let me ask you the final question, the one we ask all the guests of the Stitch Please podcast. The slogan of the Stitch Please podcast is that we will help you get your stitch together. I am going to ask you, Bertha Chapman, what is your advice to help us get our stitch together for the BeMore FrockTails?
I would say don't limit yourself. Open your mind and just believe that you can achieve whatever look, whatever skills you're trying to add. Believe that you can actually do it, because you can. You know, it may take a little bit more time, but you can get there. You can do it. And if you have any questions, you need any help, you have a whole community of people there to answer these questions and to help you achieve that final goal.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jasmine Howard, how about you? What advice do you have to help us get our stitch together for BeMore FrockTails?
You know, Bertha just had such a lovely response. The first thing that came into my mind was just try and be you. And when I think about just try, I feel like sometimes it's real easy to get in our heads. And so we either forget to try or we're scared to try, you know. And I think that with Baltimore FrockTails, this is the time to try that new thing, to, you know, test it out, see if you like it, see what other people might have going on. Maybe you're a person who feels like you can only wear certain things right now because of your lifestyle. This is the time to expand on that, you know. And what I mean also by just, you know, and be yourself, like, you know, maximalism, you know, we see the volume, we see the shape, we see these big, beautiful silhouettes, we see all these things, but also don't forget the details. You know, your being more might be that you have a beautiful shirt that you've embroidered, hand embroidered to bits.
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to be a huge avant-garde, you know, fashion show ready piece, even though we would love to see that. You know, we also are looking at those tiny details, that hand sequening that you did, those earrings you did from polymer clay. It all counts. It all counts. It all matters. And so I think with getting your stitch together is, you know, just try. And I think for my personal life, I need to start now. Maybe that's to be the real thing. You know, maybe that's the getting your stitch. Start today.
Exactly.
Don't be like me and wait till 3 days before and be crying, you know, 12 hours before the event.
We do not want maximum tears. We want minimal tears for the maximalism. Minimal tears for maximalism. Absolutely.
That was both of us before DC FrockTails.
It was
both
so
of
crazy.
us. Last minute.
No. Oh no. Y'all, thank you so much. Bertha Chapman, Jasmine Howard, two of the three amazing hosts for Baltimore FrockTails. We are so grateful to have y'all with us tonight. Thank you very much and have a wonderful event.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
You've been listening to Stitch Please, the official podcast of Black Women Stitch, the sewing group where Black Lives Matter. We appreciate you joining us this week and every week for stories that center Black women, girls, and femmes in sewing. We invite you to join the Black Women Stitch Patreon community with giving levels beginning at $5 a month. Your contributions help us bring the Stitch Please podcast to you every week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. And come back next week and we'll help you get your stitch together.